Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm excited to have you all here. If you can all hear me okay, can you just pop a little thing in the chat just so that I can see? I'll just open the chat up. So good morning. Hopefully you can all hear me okay. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, you can hear me. Fantastic. Glad to hear that. Excellent. Okay. I'm just going to pop in here 2 seconds. A little file that I'd like us to use. There you go. So there's a little PDF that I've just popped in the chat for you all to use today. And the PDF goes with today's workshop. So if you can all just grab that, you're welcome to print it off, or you can just have it in front of you and can reference it. Whatever it is that suits you would be absolutely fine. So I have to say, I'm actually on holidays at the moment. I'm working today and it feels super strange to be working in the midst of the kind of Christmas break. So hopefully you all had a lovely Christmas. And whatever you're doing today, thanks for showing up to today's class live. I know that I've got 18 people booked and there's only 4 of you here, so well done for those 4 of you that turned up live. It's brilliant to have you here. So welcome to today's webinar, which is on our content planning for January. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong thing. Thank you. Apologies. Let's try again. There you go. How's that? Goodness, you can see I'm still in a bit of holiday mode. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate that. Excellent. All right, so everyone's got it now. Good morning. Yes, and everyone can hear me. Good morning, Anne. All right, I'm just going to clear my... It's a bit warm and my glasses are steaming up already. It's not very helpful. All right. Okay, so everyone's got the PDF. That's definitely the correct one that I've attached now. All right, so welcome to today's webinar. Just before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. In terms of the recording, this session is recorded by Business Station, who run the workshops today. And if you do not receive the recording from today's workshop, please contact them directly. I know that they are closed at the moment, so there might be a delay in getting it out to you. It might be in the new year. Usually it's only a day or 2, so just keep that in mind. Please don't contact me because I don't retain the recording, they do. The workbook, I have popped that in the chat for you, so hopefully everyone's got that and you're all good, and you're probably doing that right now. There is definitely time built in for today's workshop for questions, and you can share some feedback if you'd like to as well. Because this is a webinar, you can't actually unmute yourself and speak directly to me. You do have to pop your question into the chat, so you're welcome to that. I do have my chat box open so I can see it at any given time. All right, just going to move my microphone a little bit closer so my sound's a bit better, hopefully. All right, so I'm just going to move this up a wee bit. So for those of you who haven't met me before, my name is Sarah Thompson. I'm the owner and founder of Online Social Butterfly, and I have been a specialist trainer and advisor with Business Station for the last 2.5 years. I'm working exclusively on their digital solutions program that was previously called ASBAS. And the digital solutions program is a federally funded program that allows small businesses like you to access free and low cost services. And at the end of today's webinar, I'll be telling you a little bit more about that. If you haven't met me before, I've been running my own company for the last 10 years. And prior to that, I worked in corporate marketing for about 15 odd years. I do have lots of qualifications. I'm not going to read them all out because we've only got an hour. If you would like to connect with me personally rather than Business Station, you can find me at Online Social Butterfly, and my fave places to hang out are Facebook and Instagram. So in terms of today's task, what we're going to do is you're going to have the workbook as reference. And on each of my slides, you can see that I've got, this is page 1 of the workbook. So I'll always put the page number because the workbook is numbered. And I'll put a little thing here that time for the task is 5 minutes. So I'll always put a timer up there for you so you know what's going on so you can keep on task. Now, with the page 1 of the workbook, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reviewing the month that's just gone. So we're going to be considering Facebook and Instagram because they're the 2 platforms we're most concerned with. And we want to think of our total fans or followers, our total posts, and our stories and our reels. So what you can do is you can on Instagram, look it up under the Instagram Insights, and on Facebook, I've put it some instructions here on how you go to your Facebook Insights. So you go to your Facebook website and you go to your page, and on the left-hand menu, there's a tab called Insights. And you can go then on the summary section of your insights, change it to the last 28 days, and it will give you all the data that you're searching for. So I'm going to put our timer for 5 minutes. And I'm going to let you all get started on that. I want you to kind of fill out as much information as you would like to do in that 5 minutes. Okay, hopefully you've all done your insights. I find this really, really useful. It's something that I track every single month in my business because it's really important that you track your data to see that things are improving. It's really, really helpful. So make sure you take the time, if you don't come back to this class each month, to keep going with that. All right, so one of the things that I always like to do and that we're going to be doing today is we're going to be creating a theme for our social media. Now, the problem with social media is that we have lots to tell our audience, and this can mean that it can become very overwhelming for us to write content for them. And this is quite often why we struggle when it comes to creating content. So if we're sitting down at our computer every morning and thinking, I need to write a post for my Instagram or Facebook, and I don't know what to do, the problem is you have too much to tell your audience. Now, in reality, your audience can only absorb so much information. So if you're like me and you have lots of different products and services in your business, what you need to do is give your social media a focus for a single month. So what we want to do is have one theme that works on just talking about that during the month. Okay, so what we want to do is think about what product or service, or maybe an offer or a package, would you like to be promoting for the month of January. Okay, so this means that when it comes to your social media, this is the only thing you're going to be talking about on your socials. Okay, so during the month of January, you might want to think about what is it you'd like to be promoting, what is it important in your business, that kind of thing. So I want you to have a think about that. And I want you to write down and consider, what is this product or service? So what will the theme be? And I want you to take a moment to describe it. And then I want you to think about what needs to be included. So on page 2 of the workbook, and I'm going to give you again 5 minutes to think about this, because if you can take the time to structure this really, really well, it will help your social media content planning. So I'm going to hit the timer now, and we're going to go for 5 minutes on this activity. I'm just going to answer that question that's been asked. What needs to be included if it's a physical product? So I'll just clarify, if it's a physical product and it's an e-commerce store, you might want to include things like, what is the postage cost? What are your delivery times? And what are the things that people can expect in terms of, if I order it today, when will it be shipped? So what is your shipping time that before, when my order is placed, between that and like when it's packed and shipped? If that's instant or is it up to 5 working days, that kind of information is really helpful for people to know. Hopefully that answers your question. But you can pop another thing in the chat if you want me to answer that some more. Great, excellent. All right. So that task there is probably one of the most important tasks that we're going to complete in today's webinar, because everything that we do now moving forward is going to focus on that single product, service, package or offer that you've put together for today. Okay. So our theme for the month is going to be very clearly focused on exactly what you've just written on page 2 of your workbook. We're not going to deviate from that. So everything that we now do moving forward is all about this single offering or single theme. So hopefully everyone's really, really clear on that, because it's important as we move forward that you are. So we're going to move on to page 3 of the workbook. Now, these questions, I'd like you not to rush ahead with them, because what we need to do is focus on how are we going to create content around this single theme for the month that we have created for January. Okay, so I'm going to read out each question and I'm going to give you a time to write some answers. Try not to rush ahead, because what you're actually doing now is you're creating content around your theme. So if you rush on, it won't allow you to kind of take that time that you're allocating now to create that content. So the first question that we've got is, what does someone need to know before they buy from you? So who are you? Why are you different? Okay. So if you are like me and you're in a service-based business, people need to know before they buy from you. They need to know a little bit about who you are. So I'm Sarah. This is my qualifications. This is a bit about my business. This is all of the products and this is all my services that I offer. This is what I do. Okay. People like to know that kind of information. If you're a product-based business, what do they need to know? Like, do they need to know how long have you been in business? Where does the product come from? Do you make it yourself? What kind of ingredients do you make? If you source it, how is it sourced? That kind of information. So they also need to know if you're reputable and if you have some longevity. So I want you to have a think about how you can give some information on this. And remember, the more time you can put into this, the better your results are going to be. So this is all about the single theme for the month. So let's start with the first question. Okay. Now, question number 2 on our workbook is going to really focus on why do they need to buy it? What problem does it solve? Now, in marketing, I would say that this is one of the most critical pieces of information that we understand and that we communicate to our audience. What we need to do is show them that we understand what their problems are and how we specifically solve them. Now, the reality of it is when we are writing social media content, and same with email marketing, whatever it is that you're doing, we quite often get caught up in the space of this is what I have to sell. Okay, so I'm selling an online class that does this. Okay, and what we actually forget to do is think about our audience and how do we solve what their problem is. Okay, so what we know is this is the problem and this is what I'm going to help you with. So I want you to think about what do people tell you their problem is, and if you can, when you're answering this question, think about the words that they use. Now, I know that my audience tells me all the time they struggle when it comes to writing social media posts. They feel really overwhelmed. That's one of their words that they use. They also feel very intimidated because they look at what other people are doing on social media and they're like, I can't keep up with that. So the problem that I might solve with a class like this is that I'm giving them a plan of how to create content, okay? So I want you to think about for this question, this is probably the most important question we're going to do in today's webinar. Why do they need to buy something from you? What is the problem that you're going to solve? So we're going to take 4 minutes for this question. The next 2 are probably going to just take 3 because this is the most important one. Okay, so hopefully you managed to sort of flesh out some of that problem that you solve for people, because if you can crack into what it is that you solve for people, you can really tap into talking to them in a way that makes them feel like you understand them, which is really, really important. So we started with question 2, which is the problem that you solve, and then we flip over into question 3, which is the outcome. Once you have worked with me or purchased this product or listened to this webinar, how am I going to feel? What is the outcome? So if we're talking about someone booking into my content planning webinar, they're feeling overwhelmed, they're feeling stressed that they don't know what to post on social media. And once they've done the webinar, what they're going to have is a plan for their month coming ahead. And how is this going to make them feel? It's going to make them feel less stressed. It's going to make them feel in control, and it's going to free up lots of mental space. So I want you to think about what is the outcome and how does your audience feel once they've purchased the specific product or service for your January theme. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes for this task for question number 3. Okay, so for our final question on this page of the workbook, question number 4, I want you to think about what objections people might have when it comes to purchasing your product or service for your January theme. Now, this is a really great way to create social media content, because when we answer people's objections, we're actually stopping them kind of going, oh, I don't want to buy that because. So people might, the most common objections are always around pricing, like money, and around time. And people can express that in different ways. So if my theme for January was that I was selling one of my online courses, what people could say is, I've bought online courses before and I've never taken the time to do them. So what you can do is, my answer to that would be along the lines of, this course is broken down into 8 modules and you have a lifetime access to the content. So you'll be able to complete it when you're ready. So you see how you answer their objections. So I want you to have a think about, what do people say to you when they kind of go, oh, I'm not buying this because, and remember, it's most commonly expressed around time and money, but it's often around what is their hesitation. So I want you to have a think about that. And we're going to spend 3 minutes, and I want you to write down some of those objections. And ideally, I'd like you to try and answer those objections. So see how I said the objection is, I've never completed it and this is what I can do. So if you can try and do both, that would be great. Okay, so how did you all get on with that? I find that activity is something that I use time and time again, and I don't simply use it actually when I'm planning my content. I often use it when I'm doing things like writing emails, like email marketing, when I'm doing sales pages on my business. If you think about those 4 questions, they're extremely powerful in allowing you to connect with your audience. So I hope that process has been really good for you. We're now going to move on to page 4 of the workbook. And I'm mindful of time, so we'll probably just take 3 minutes for each one of these. And what I would like you to do is, I'd like you to think about these 4 content ideas. So the first one is a testimonial. So for your theme for the month, I'm going to give you 4 minutes for this, because I want you to go and have a quick look on Google and on Facebook and see if anyone has left you a testimonial specifically relating to your January theme. So the first question is, do you have any testimonials? So I'm going to give you 4 minutes to go and have a look and see if you can find some testimonials. Okay, you can keep working if you're looking for testimonials, but I'm going to just answer this question that someone's asked. So the question is, if someone has left you a product feedback testimonial, can you use it freely, repost it, etc.? So if someone has left you a testimonial on your Facebook reviews or your Google reviews, that is publicly available information and you're welcome to use it wherever you like. If someone has done something like sent you, like a little text message or replied to an email, it would be my recommendation that you ask for their consent to do that. And if you kind of feel like you don't know them well enough to do that, you could just say, thanks to Sarah, and just use my first name for this wonderful review. Okay. And if it was from a while ago, it doesn't really matter. So if you, because you've got a product-based business. So if the product is the same and someone left me a review from 5 years ago, it's absolutely fine to use it. There's no time limit. It's really about how relevant it is. So in my business, the products and services change in my business. So if someone left me 5 years ago, it might be different to now. Amazon is exactly the same rules as Facebook and Google. So yes, you're welcome to use Amazon reviews. That's brilliant if you've got some. Well done. I hope that answers your question. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, for task number 2, we're going to have a little think about some ideas that we have that share for our theme for the month of January, something that is behind the scenes. Now, behind the scenes content and posts are incredibly powerful because they allow your audience to connect with you in a way that they might not normally. Now, this can be a little bit challenging, so I want you to have a little bit of a think about this. If you have a product-based business, behind the scenes is super easy. Can I just say that? Because you can do what's called boxing, because unboxing is when I open something sent to me. So boxing is where you're packing your order. You can also show if you have products delivered to you that you're going to send out, what that looks like. You can also show the process of you fulfilling orders. So you could do a time-lapse video of you fulfilling orders. You can do a little shot of you posting things at the post office or in a post box. Do not underestimate how much people like seeing behind the scenes. So that's some ideas for your product-based business. If you have a service-based business like me, behind the scenes can feel quite hard because we're kind of like, what do I show people? So you could get, again, don't be afraid of time-lapse videos on your phone because they're really cool and quick to do. If I was creating, say, an online course, I could do a time-lapse video of me sitting at my computer and here's what goes on behind the scenes. I could talk about, here's me kind of creating it and recording it. I could show people a little bit about who I am and what am I up to. So I'm going to give you just 3 minutes for this next task to think about some behind the scenes activities that you'd like to share. Bev, that's a great question. So as I said, everyone, if you want to keep working, I'm just going to answer Bev's question and you can keep working on your behind the scenes. So in terms of an app that is behind the scenes, what sort of content would that be? So presumably with an app, there is some activity that goes on, and I imagine it's decently unglamorous because you're obviously doing lots of coding and lots of kind of email work and things like that. So you could let people know something like, this is what it actually looks like, and this is you working, could be you working on your laptop at your kitchen desk or in your office or whatever it looks like, because people want to see that there's a human behind your brand or behind your app. So the behind the scenes can be sharing a little bit about, this is me, this is why we created this app, this is what the focus of it is, this is what our intent was. So sharing a little bit about who you are and why you created it can be really helpful. And people like to see those faces because they connect better with your brand and your app if they do that. So hopefully that gives you a few ideas. Please feel free to comment and I'll respond again if you want some more. Brilliant. Excellent. Pleasure. Okay, so keep working. I'm going to just read this question. So what if my product fulfillment is outsourced so I don't do it myself? What do you think about stock footage of product fulfillment, or should it be actual specific footage? It should, if you're talking about stock footage of product fulfillment, it obviously has to be your product, okay? So if it's outsourced, that's okay. But I guess people might want to know, so if it's possible for you to, wherever it's fulfilled, for them to take some photos, that would be great. If you have, if they pack it in a certain way, you could do the unboxing. So get one shipped to yourself and show people, like, when you order, this is what your experience is going to be like. You get this product and it's wrapped like this, and this is what happens. So people get a sense of the unboxing. So you could do that yourself. It's outsourcing is such an easy way to manage product and stock. So I totally understand that, but they could then show people, this is me working behind the scenes on the website. This is me doing what it is that I do in my office. So hopefully that gives you a few ideas. But if you're going to use generic footage, just be mindful it looks like your product in that. Okay, so we're going to move on to our quick tip. Now, this is something that is really, really important in terms of your content for your social media. And we often forget to do this because we get really caught in the space of selling, and quick tips can do lots of things. So they can tell people that we understand what it is that we're doing, what our products and services are. So if I was to give a quick tip, so if my January content is all about content planning, okay, some of my tips could be on how to do content planning yourself. So I could talk about the fact that you want to have a theme, or I could talk about the fact that you want to kind of sit and write your post in chunks rather than daily. So giving tips doesn't actually give away your intellectual property or mean that people won't buy from you. It actually demonstrates your knowledge and expertise. So I don't want you to underestimate quick tips. If you have a product-based business and you want to give tips, the tips can be around how to use the product, how to get better life out of your product, and maybe how to care and store it. So those are some of the ideas around quick tips. So again, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to work on that. And remember, feel free to pop your questions in and I'll get to answering them straight away for you. Okay, so hopefully you've come up with some fun ideas to share quick tips as part of your content for January. Now, the last idea that I want you to work on is what we call a long post. Now, once upon a time, we would have done these as a blog post, and most of us don't blog in our business anymore. However, if you do blog, this is where you can brainstorm some of these ideas. But what research has shown us over the last few years is that people will read a long post from you if they are sufficiently interested in it. So remember that we want to try and capture their attention. So when you go to write this later, think about that first sentence or two, kind of like being a headline on a newspaper, like, why do I want to read more of this? It's really, really important. So with your long post, you want to give people additional information that's going to really help them understand who you are and what it is that you do. So in a service-based business like mine, I could write a really long post. So my theme for January might be content planning for 2022. I might want to talk about having like a case study. This is who I worked with someone. This is the results I've got. I can create a really long post. So if you're in a product-based business, you could go all in on telling people about a specific product, your product for the month of January, and giving them a little bit more information about it so they can kind of get really up close and personal with it. So I'm going to give you just 2 minutes for this last task, and then we're going to move on to our next activity. So I want you to just brainstorm a few ideas on how you can, what you could talk about if you were to write a long post. We're not actually writing them now. I want you to think about the ideas, okay? All right. Okay. So with that long post, hopefully you've got a couple of ideas. They do take a little bit of time for you to write. So you probably only need to do 1 or 2 for the month, but please don't be afraid of these. And remember, it's such a good idea to share your opinion and give some insights because you're really demonstrating your expertise and knowledge. So I find these are really good. And even if I only do 1 a month, I still try and include them in my social media content. Okay, so we're now moving on to page 4 of the workbook, and what we're going to do is consider the themes for the month. So in your workbook on page 5, there are some themes that I've written down that are for January. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about what could you use in your business that would be relevant to your audience. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes to do this task, and I want you to read through all of the days of the month and also the themes of the month and have a think about what could you use that would be relevant to your audience that you could talk about. And there are bonus points if the theme, like the broad theme, works in with yours as well. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to complete this activity.
Okay, so I hope that you have found some broad themes that will work for you and your audience that you can talk about. Thanks for sharing, Tim. I love Get a Balanced Life Month. If you tell me how we can achieve that, I will so follow you for that. So as we wrap up, I just want to talk about how we use our plan moving forward. Because what we have done today is we've mapped out your content for January. So we've chosen a theme and we have created content ideas that are around that. What you can do now moving forward is you can, if you have time today, which maybe you do, go away and actually write your content using the content plan that we have created. If you don't have time to do that today, what you now have is you have a plan to move forward with January. Now, I personally like to sit and write all of my content in one day and get it all done and scheduled. Then I don't have to think about it for the month ahead. If that's you, that's awesome. Good luck with that. However, what I want you to know is that even if you have no time now and we come the 1st of January, like, right, Sarah said I need to talk about my theme. Here's my content ideas. How am I going to start? And so your first post might be talking about the product or service. And then your next post might be, here's a little bit about me and who I am. So you have a plan there, and you shouldn't have to sit down now and not have any idea what you're going to talk about on your social media. So I hope that you found today's class helpful. I love this webinar, and I actually, oddly enough, do it myself every month in my business because I know that it's really important to have that focus. So just to wrap up, at the beginning of today's webinar, I talked about the fact that today's workshop is presented to you under the federal government's Digital Solutions program. Now, under that program, you can get access to 7 hours of personalised mentorship for $44. And it covers 4 key areas involved in kind of the digital aspects of your business. Now, if you are interested in this personalised mentorship, to find out if you're eligible, you have to have an ABN that is registered in WA, Queensland or NT. You have to be running a for-profit business, and you have to have less than 20 full-time employees. So if that's you, visit businessstation.link/register, and this will be sent out to you in the recording. But if you go to the Business Station website, you'll see digital solutions there, and you can register for $44. If you're interested in registering, you can let them know what areas that you specifically have problems with, and they can allocate you to an advisor that would help. We have a team of about 20 advisors, including myself, with different areas of expertise. So if you'd like to work with me, you pop Sarah Thompson down as your preferred advisor. If you'd like to work with someone, you're like, I'm not sure who it is, I just need help with, like, say, my Google ads, you can pop that in, you'll be then matched to the right advisor. So thank you so much for attending today. I hope you found it enjoyable. Good luck with your January content, and wishing you all a very happy and safe new year from me here. See you later. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate that.